So here's a quick video I want to do to show you a winter setup of the Injinji liner and sock. So I've done a separate video on my channel just to show you their summer setup. They've got a Coolmax fabric setup that would be best for the summer. This is your best one for the depths of the winter or when it's very wet. So the first thing to say is that the liner and the crew outer sock here are merino instead of their Coolmax. So these are merino wool. So the first warning is do not tumble dry these and do not hot wash them because they'll get smaller. But the advantages of wool over, or merino wool over, a synthetic fabric is that wool tends to maintain and keep you warm even when it's wet. So I would opt for these when the conditions are very wet underfoot and my feet are likely to get wet and stay wet for a long period of time. And also merino has really good thermal properties in keeping you warm when it's super cold, but also actually keeping you relatively cool when it's hot. So if the conditions are quite varied, the merino can be quite good as well. So the idea of the liner and sock is probably pretty obvious. There's a liner and there's a main sock. With the liner, you've got the thinnest possible sock that they can make to give you that absolute what's necessary abrasion resistance and no more. It's obviously quite a tight fitting sock, as you can see. I would say in fall or spring you could probably get away with wearing just these as just the sock. When you're not really looking for that extra amount of warmth or padding, you just kind of want a merino sock to wear. These liners are perfectly great to wear on their own right. On the other foot here is the outer, or the sort of outer sock for this setup, both of which are the crew length. And again, you could wear these on their own just in the fall or in spring when the weather's sort of not too cold and not too hot. And then they're the slightly bigger fitting and with a bit more stretch than the liner, so that they will fit comfortably over the liner. So your deepest, darkest, out in the snow, worst possible conditions, snowy, wet feet, that whole kind of thing, when you need to stay warm but your feet are going to be wet for long periods of time and you're worried about blisters, is when you would then combine these two. So you'd wear these underneath with these on top, and then you're getting maximum abrasion resistance, you're getting plenty of insulation to help keep your feet warm. You've got the wicking effect as well to help take some of the moisture away from your feet. So that's your kind of deepest, darkest winter setup, is when you then wear both. And this has enough stretch and the fit is ever so slightly more generous that it'll fit over the liner, which is fantastic. The other thing I would say is if you get the liner and the sock, you can take them both out with you, but you don't have to wear them at the same time. So for example, at the beginning of the day, if you're out all day, it might be colder, so you might have both the liner and the outer on. As the day warms up, you might switch to just the liner or just the outer, and then as the evening wears in, you might want to then put both layers back on again. The advantage of this with the kind of two sock setup as well is it means if you're not wearing one of the pairs, it might sound a bit icky, but I would leave them dangling off your backpack to just wick away moisture and dry out. So again, if you're in wet conditions, it means you can take a pair off for an hour, put them around your neck or dangle them off your bag depending on the temperature, and it'll help dry them out, so you can constantly try and keep a relatively dry pair against your feet. So there you go. That pretty much gives you a quick look at what's going on with the Injinji sock and the liner as well. I've done a separate video for their summer setup for the kind of synthetic fibers as well. And if you can like and subscribe to my channel, it makes a huge difference to what I'm doing here. And what I'll do is in the description below, I'll put a full detailed written blog with a link to the lowest prices online as well. So yeah, thank you very much. That's the Injinji liner and sock, and that's the merino versions.